My sister had everything handed to her growing up, new cars, private school, the works. Then at Thanksgiving dinner, she discovered I had $30 million and completely melted down in front of everyone. My aunt screamed and my dad just. I learned to be invisible the year I turned 7. That was when my sister Madison celebrated her 16th birthday, a brand new BMW gleaming in our driveway, wrapped in a giant red bow. From my bedroom window, I watched her squeal with delight, leaping into our parents' arms as neighbors gathered, offering congratulations for raising such an extraordinary daughter. No one, not a single soul, noticed me, a small figure in thrift store jeans and a hand-me-down sweater, watching from above. Madison was the golden child, a fact established the moment she drew her first breath. 9 years my senior, she arrived when our parents were young, ambitious, and still full of the belief they could sculpt a perfect daughter. By the time I came along, I suspect I was more of an unforeseen consequence than a cherished plan. The initial parental enthusiasm had clearly waned. My baby books remained largely blank. The photo album mysteriously ceased after my first birthday. Our family wasn't destitute. My parents ran a moderately successful insurance business in Connecticut, affording us a comfortable life, or at least, affording Madison one. She attended Westfield Academy, a private institution whose annual tuition surpassed the cost of most people's cars. I, on the other hand, was sent to Franklin Public School, a mere 3 blocks from our house, where rain seeped through ceiling tiles and textbooks bore copyright dates from the 1990s. When I dared to question why Madison enjoyed private schooling while I didn't, my mother simply gazed at me, as if I'd inquired about the color of the sky. Madison needs more stimulation, sweetheart. She's gifted. You're doing just fine where you are. Fine. That single word became the haunting soundtrack of my childhood. Madison was exceptional, brilliant, clearly destined for greatness. I was merely fine. For her 17th birthday, Madison embarked on a trip to Paris with our mother. For mine, I received a grocery store cake and a crisp $20 bill. I promptly used it to purchase a used graphing calculator for school. Mine was broken, and I knew better than to ever ask for a new one. Initially, this glaring inequality didn't breed bitterness. I was too young to fully grasp the dynamics at play. I simply assumed this was how families operated. Some children received more because, inherently, they deserved more. I internalized this flawed logic, allowing it to weave itself into the fabric of my identity. Yet, ironically, this very neglect fostered something my sister never developed: resourcefulness. While Madison received expensive French lessons and violin tutoring, I devoured library books and free online tutorials, teaching myself to code. While she spent her summers at exclusive Adirondack camps, I toiled at the local grocery store, meticulously saving every penny. While she meticulously planned which Ivy League institution she would grace with her presence, I applied to state universities, praying desperately for scholarships. My dedication paid off. I secured admission to the University of Connecticut with a full academic scholarship. My parents took me to Applebee's to celebrate. A modest dinner for a significant achievement. When Madison was accepted to Yale, with my parents gladly footing the entire tuition bill, they hosted a lavish garden party for 50 guests, complete with a catered buffet and a champagne toast. I ate 3 sliders at that extravagant gathering and quietly slipped away early. Predictably, no one noticed. College became my sanctuary, my escape hatch. I double-majored in computer science and mathematics, juggled 2 part-time jobs, and devoted every spare moment to honing my skills. Holidays rarely saw me return home. I offered my parents excuses of work or studies, which were true enough. But truthfully, I simply couldn't stomach the contrast, Madison returning to fanfare and celebration, while I received a distracted, "Oh, you're here, too." During my junior year, something profound clicked. I'd been freelancing as a developer, building websites and apps for small businesses to supplement my income. One client, a regional distribution company, mentioned their struggle with inventory management, losing thousands due to an inefficient supply chain. Over winter break, I built them a solution. It was rudimentary, yes, but it worked. They paid me $5,000, more money than I'd ever seen at once. But what truly mattered? They told others. Within 6 months, 12 more companies were knocking on my door, requesting similar systems. I made the bold decision to drop to part-time student status, pouring every ounce of energy into building better, more sophisticated software. I survived on 4 hours of sleep, ramen, and coffee, coding until my fingers ached. The software evolved. I christened it ChainFlow, and it grew into something far grander than I'd envisioned, a comprehensive supply chain management platform capable of integrating with existing systems and providing real-time analytics. At 21, I was running a legitimate tech startup from my dorm room. I earned my bachelor's degree at 22. Madison had graduated from Yale the previous year and was now ensconced in a prestigious marketing firm in Manhattan, living in an apartment our parents had helped her afford. They were immeasurably proud, eager to showcase photos of her corner office as if they'd personally constructed it. I remained invisible. They vaguely knew I'd graduated, understood I was doing something with computers, but the specifics held no interest for them. Whenever I attempted to explain ChainFlow, my father would nod politely before redirecting the conversation to Madison's latest client presentation. So, I stopped trying. There was one moment, however, that almost shattered my resolve to remain silent. I was 23, home for Easter, one of my rare visits. Madison had just become engaged to her first fiancé, Brandon, a lawyer our parents adored. That engagement would last a mere 8 months before he cheated on her, but that's another story. That day, she was flaunting her ring to everyone who entered. Meanwhile, I had just secured my second major contract, a deal valued at $340,000, which would allow me to hire 5 more people. I was buzzing with an excitement I found impossible to completely suppress. Over dinner, during a rare lull in the Madison worship, I made one last attempt. "I have some good news," I ventured. My mother looked at me with mild curiosity. "Oh, did you meet someone, honey?" she asked. "No, it's about work. I just signed a really big client." "The contract is, that's wonderful, dear," Dad interrupted, not even glancing up from his phone. "Madison, your mother and I were thinking we should host an engagement party here at the house. Perhaps rent a tent for the backyard." Madison shrieked with delight, and the conversation irrevocably shifted. I sat there, my news dying in my throat, watching them meticulously plan a celebration for a relationship that wouldn't even endure the year. I excused myself, retreating to my childhood bedroom, now repurposed as Madison's elaborate gift wrapping station, complete with rolls of expensive paper and ornate bows. I called my business partner, Sarah, a brilliant developer I'd met through a coding forum, who'd been with me since the very beginning. "They don't care," I told her, slumped on the floor amidst Madison's wedding planning supplies. "Then stop telling them," Sarah said simply, her voice unwavering. "Emma, you don't need their approval. Build your empire. Let the work speak for itself." That conversation changed everything. Sarah was right. I had spent far too long chasing crumbs of recognition from people who would never perceive me as anything more than Madison's forgettable little sister. From that moment forward, I channeled every ounce of hurt, every dismissal, every forgotten moment, into forging something undeniable. At 23, I landed my first truly major contract, a regional logistics company that paid me $200,000 to implement ChainFlow across their entire operation. I hired my first 2 employees, both brilliant developers I'd connected with online, who shared my belief in what we were building. At 24, a national retailer signed on, then another, then another. By 25, I commanded a team of 47 employees and boasted an annual revenue of $8 million. At 26, a venture capital firm approached me, offering $15 million for 30% of the company. I countered, negotiating them down to 20% for $12 million. My lawyer, a seasoned professional, nearly suffered a heart attack at my audacious confidence, but I knew, with absolute certainty, ChainFlow's true worth. I could have told my family then. I could have arrived at Christmas with news of my staggering success, finally proving I was more than just fine. But something held me back. Perhaps it was pride. Perhaps it was the lingering memory of every dismissive comment, every forgotten birthday, every instance I'd been an afterthought in my own family. I wanted to see how far I could truly go while they weren't watching. I yearned to build something so undeniably monumental that they would have no choice but to finally see me. So, I remained silent. I lived modestly in a small Boston apartment, drove a Honda Civic, and continued building. At 27, Chainflow expanded internationally, securing contracts in Canada, Mexico, and the UK. Our revenue soared to $31 million. I upgraded to a slightly larger, but still unflashy, apartment. I bought a nicer car, a Lexus, but kept the trusty Honda as well. At 28, the acquisition offers began to pour in. Tech giants, eager to absorb Chainflow into their empires, dangled obscene sums of money. I rejected them all. This creation was mine, and I wasn't prepared to relinquish it lightly. The first offer, a staggering $150 million, came from a Silicon Valley behemoth, but their proposal required dissolving Chainflow entirely and integrating its technology into their existing platform. I would have become an employee, a mere cog in their colossal machine. I declined within 24 hours. The second offer, $180 million from a European conglomerate, presented better finances, but demanded my relocation to Frankfurt and the phasing out of my entire team within a year. Another firm rejection. My board of directors thought I was utterly insane. "Emma, these are life-changing offers," one investor exclaimed during a tense meeting. "You're leaving hundreds of millions on the table." "I'm not interested in money that comes with conditions that betray everything I've built," I retorted. Chainflow isn't just code, it's a team of vision. I'm not selling out for a check and a pat on the head. 3 weeks later, Technova reached out. Their CEO, Jennifer Walsh, was a woman who had forged her own empire from nothing. She understood, intrinsically, what Chainflow represented. We met for coffee in Boston. She laid out a proposal that respected the essence of my creation. "I don't want to absorb Chainflow," Jennifer said, stirring her cappuccino, her gaze piercing. "I want to amplify it. You stay CEO. Your team remains intact. We provide the infrastructure and capital to go truly global. You keep your vision. We give you the resources to make it bigger than you ever could alone." I listened to her pitch for 2 hours, and by the end, I knew this was different. The negotiations spanned 3 grueling months. My lawyers and theirs battled over every minute detail. I fought relentlessly for my team, ensuring generous retention bonuses and substantial equity packages. I fought for creative control, for the undeniable right to veto any decision that compromised our core values. I fought for every single thing that truly mattered to me. When we finally agreed on $310 million, with all my terms met, Jennifer smiled across the conference table. "You drive a hard bargain," she conceded. "I know my worth," I replied, a quiet strength in my voice. "I've spent my whole life having people underestimate me. I'm done with that." After taxes, legal fees, and setting aside a significant sum for my employees' bonuses, I personally walked away with $187 million. I kept $30 million liquid, investing the remainder in a meticulously diversified portfolio my financial advisor constructed. At 28 years old, I possessed more wealth than I could possibly spend in 3 lifetimes. And my family still had no idea. They believed I was simply doing okay with my little computer job. My mom would occasionally inquire if I was still programming, as if it were a fleeting hobby I might outgrow. My dad once suggested I apply to work at his insurance company, since they needed someone good with computers. Madison, meanwhile, had gotten engaged to a hedge fund manager named Preston. Their engagement party was at a country club, the ring a dazzling $40,000. My parents were beside themselves with unbridled joy. I flew in for the party, presented them with a $300 gift card to their registry, and departed before the speeches even began. Madison didn't notice my absence until the next day. The acquisition officially closed in October. By November, I had settled into my new role, signed a 5-year contract with Technova, and began planning how to utilize my newfound wealth. I made a significant, anonymous donation to my old public school, funding a complete technology lab renovation. I established multiple scholarship funds. I purchased my first true piece of luxury, a beautiful house in Brookline with an unparalleled view of the Charles River. But I posted nothing about it, told no one outside my closest circle. Thanksgiving was fast approaching, and for the first time in years, I genuinely wanted to go home. Not because I had softened towards my family, but because I'd arrived at a powerful realization. Their opinion of me no longer held sway. I had spent so many years desperately craving their validation, their recognition, their pride. But I didn't need it anymore. I had validated myself. I called my mom to confirm my attendance. She sounded surprised. "Oh, wonderful, honey. Madison and Preston will be there, too. Preston's parents might even stop by. It'll be such a nice family gathering." A slight pause. "You're still doing that computer work, right? Are you making enough to get by? Your father knows someone who might be hiring." I smiled into the phone. "I'm doing fine, Mom. Really fine." "Well, that's good. See you Thursday." I packed a small bag, carefully including one specific item, a folder containing the acquisition paperwork. Not because I planned a dramatic reveal, I honestly didn't know if I would say anything at all, but because I wanted it with me, a tangible reminder of what I had accomplished entirely without them. The drive to Connecticut felt profoundly different this time. Usually, I'd spend the entire journey steeling myself for the inevitable disappointment, preparing to be overlooked and undervalued. This time, I listened to music, enjoying the vibrant fall colors, a strange, unprecedented calm settling over me. I kept recalling a conversation with my therapist, Dr. Chin, the week prior. I'd started seeing her 2 years earlier, finally ready to unpack the damage of growing up invisible. "Why do you want to go to Thanksgiving?" she'd asked, her voice gentle. "What are you hoping to get from it?" I sat with that question for a long time. "I think I want to see if I still care," I finally admitted. "If their opinion of me still holds power over me. And if it does, then I know I still have work to do. But if it doesn't," I paused, a genuine smile touching my lips. "Then I'm free." Dr. Chin had nodded knowingly. "Just remember, Emma, freedom doesn't require their acknowledgement. You don't need to prove anything to them." "I know," I'd said, and truly, for the first time, I meant it. Now, pulling into my parents' driveway, that truth settled deep into my bones. I wasn't here to prove anything to them. I was here to witness the woman I had become despite them, or perhaps, to finally bid farewell to the little girl who had spent so many years desperate for their love. I arrived Wednesday evening. The house was exactly as I remembered, the perfectly manicured lawn, the expensive cars, Madison's BMW upgraded to a Mercedes 2 years ago, the glittering chandelier visible through the front window. Mom answered the door, her hug feeling automatic. "Emma, you made it. Come in, come in." Madison and Preston are in the living room. They just got here, too. Madison looked up from the couch, scrolling on her phone. She'd always been beautiful, tall, blonde, possessing that effortless grace that made heads turn. Preston sat beside her, the quintessential hedge fund manager, expensive suit, even on a casual Wednesday, impeccably styled hair, a watch worth more than most people's cars. "Hey, Madison said, her attention already drifting back to her screen. "Long time." "Hey," I replied, setting down my bag. "How's the wedding planning going?" "Oh my God, it's insane. We're looking at venues for next June, and everything good is already booked. Mom's been helping me, thank God. Preston's mom, too. It's basically a full-time job." She delivered this monologue without once looking up. Dad emerged from his study, reading glasses perched on his nose. "Emma, good to see you. How's the job?" "It's good. Really good." "Still with computers?" "Yeah, Dad. Still with computers." He nodded, already losing interest. "Well, that's stable work. Good benefits, I hope." Madison snorted. "Dad, she's a programmer, not a doctor. The benefits are probably basic." I could have corrected her. I could have mentioned that my benefits package at Technova included full health coverage, unlimited PTO, stock options, and a personal financial advisor. I could have mentioned my $750,000 annual salary, not including bonuses. Instead, I simply said, they're adequate. Thanksgiving Day unfolded with its usual chaos. Mom had been cooking since dawn, refusing all offers of help while simultaneously complaining about the immense workload. Madison directed Preston like he was hired staff, orchestrating the furniture arrangement and table settings to her exact specifications. I offered assistance where I could, mostly chopping vegetables in the kitchen, carefully avoiding the inevitable collision with Madison's grand vision. Aunt Carol arrived around noon with Uncle Jeff and their 2 teenage children, Trevor and Sophie. Carol, Mom's older sister, was cut from the same cloth, obsessed with appearances, status, and success. Her children exuded the kind of entitled confidence that comes from never hearing no. Emma, Carol said, kissing both my cheeks, her gaze assessing. Look at you, still single I see. Don't worry, honey. The right man will come along. You just need to put yourself out there more. Maybe try one of those apps. I'm not really looking right now, Aunt Carol, I responded politely. Oh, nonsense. Everyone's looking. You don't want to end up alone, do you? She then pivoted smoothly to Madison. Now, Madison, tell me everything about the wedding. I want all the details. I retreated to the familiar sanctuary of the kitchen. Dinner was called at 3. We gathered around the extended dining table, Mom and Dad at the heads. Madison and Preston, with Carol's family, occupied one side. I was squeezed between Trevor and Uncle Jeff on the other. The food was precisely what it always was: turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and cranberry sauce from a can that, as always, remained untouched. Comfort food, designed to bring families together. Dad said grace, and we began to pass dishes. Conversation flowed, and as always, it revolved entirely around Madison. So, Preston, Dad began, Madison tells me you just got promoted? Preston smiled modestly. Yes, sir. Managing Director. It's a big step up. That's wonderful. You two are really building a life together. I'm so proud. Dad beamed at them, his pride radiating. Thanks, Mr. Peterson. We're very excited about the future. Madison squeezed Preston's hand. We're looking at houses in Westchester, something with at least 5 bedrooms, good school district. We want to start a family in a few years. Mom practically glowed. Oh, Madison, that's wonderful. You're going to be such a beautiful mother. I watched this exchange, feeling something shift inside me. There was no jealousy, no lingering pain, just a detached, almost anthropological fascination. These people were my family by blood, yet they felt like strangers in every way that truly mattered. I studied my mother's face as she gazed adoringly at Madison, trying to recall if she had ever looked at me that way. I couldn't find a single instance. Dad was beaming at Preston as if he had personally selected him from a catalog of perfect sons-in-law. You've got a good head on your shoulders, son. Madison's lucky to have you. Preston, though outwardly modest, wore a slight smirk, the expression of a man who fully understood his value in this family's eyes. He was the golden son-in-law for the golden daughter, another achievement for them to proudly display. I considered my own dating life, sparse as it had been during the intense years of building Chain Flow. I'd had relationships, a few serious ones, but I had never brought anyone home. What would be the point? So they could compare him to Preston? So my mother could make that pinched expression she reserved for anything that drew focus away from Madison? No, I'd kept that part of my life separate, protected, just like everything else that truly mattered to me. Carol leaned forward, eager. What's your budget for the house? We're looking in the $2 to $3 million range, Preston stated casually, as if discussing the weather. Impressed murmurs rippled around the table. Trevor asked if they'd have a pool. Sophie wanted to know if she could visit. I ate my turkey silent. And the wedding, Carol pressed, have you set a budget for that? Madison laughed. Well, we want it to be special. We're thinking around $300,000. Dad's helping with some of it, and Preston's parents are contributing too, $300,000 for one single day. My mind immediately calculated the scholarships that money could fund, the lives it could irrevocably change. But I kept that thought to myself. You deserve it, sweetheart, Mom said. It's your special day. The conversation continued in this vein for 20 minutes, Madison's wedding, Madison's future house, Madison's career, Preston's promotion, their perfect life together. I might as well have been a piece of furniture. Uncle Jeff, to his credit, eventually turned to me. So, Emma, what about you? How's your work going? The table fell quiet. Everyone looked at me with vague interest, as if I were about to deliver a mundane weather report. It's going well, I said simply. Still doing the computer programming? Dad asked. Yeah, that's nice, honey, Mom offered in that tone that clearly meant, can we please return to talking about Madison now? Madison actually chuckled. Em's being modest. I'm sure she's doing fine with her little apps or whatever. Little apps. My software was processing millions of transactions daily across 4 continents, but sure, little apps. Actually, I heard myself say, the words flowing unexpectedly, I recently had some changes at work. Oh. Mom perked up slightly. Did you get a promotion? That's nice, dear. Something like that. Madison was already looking bored, reaching for her wine glass. Preston discreetly checked his phone under the table. I sold my company, I stated. The words hung in the air, suspended, as everyone processed, not quite comprehending. Your company? Dad's brow furrowed. I thought you worked for someone else. No, I've had my own company for 7 years. Chainflow. It's a supply chain management software platform. I was the founder and CEO. Madison's hand froze halfway to her mouth. Wait, what? I started it in college. Built it up. We had operations in 8 countries last month. I sold it to Technova Solutions. Mom blinked. You sold it? For how much? I took a slow sip of water, allowing the moment to stretch, to amplify. The deal was $310 million. After taxes and other expenses, I personally cleared $187 million. The silence was deafening. Carol's fork clattered against her plate, echoing through the room. I'm sorry, she stammered. Did you say million? Yes. That's not possible. Madison cried out. You're a programmer. You live in some tiny apartment and drive a Honda. I still have my Honda, I corrected calmly, but I also bought a Lexus. And the apartment isn't tiny, it's just modest. I also just bought a house in Brookline. Preston was staring at me as if I'd grown a second head. Brookline? Those houses start at, mine was $4.2 million, I interrupted smoothly. Waterfront, 5 bedrooms, 3-car garage. I paid cash. Madison's face had gone utterly white. This is a joke. This has to be a joke. It's not a joke. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and displayed the balance in my checking account, $30,847,392.16. This is what I kept liquid. The rest is invested. Carol screamed, startling everyone. Oh my God, that's real. That's a real number. Mom snatched the phone from my hand, staring at the screen as if it might bite her. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. Emma, how? When did this? I've been building Chainflow since I was 21, I explained, my voice steady, imbued with years of quiet effort. 7 years. I've had major clients for 5 years. I just never mentioned it because nobody ever asked. I looked directly at Madison, meeting her furious gaze. You said I was doing fine with my little apps. You weren't wrong. I was fine. Better than fine. Dad, now completely pale, found his voice. But why didn't you tell us? We're your family. Because you never cared to know, I responded, my voice holding an unwavering calm. Every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject to Madison. Every achievement I had was dismissed. Every time I came home, I was invisible. So, I stopped trying to be seen by you. I built something amazing, and I did it without needing your validation, or your help, or even your attention. Madison slammed her hand on the table, a sharp crack. You let us think you were struggling. You let me feel sorry for you. Did you feel sorry for me, Madison? Really? I laughed, a mirthless sound. You never thought about me at all. We would have helped you if you'd needed it. Mom cried. I never needed it, I countered, the truth ringing clear. That's the point. While you were getting everything handed to you, the private school, the cars, the trips, the money for Yale, I was building something real. I worked 80-hour weeks. I taught myself everything. I earned every single dollar. Preston, furiously typing on his phone, clearly looking me up, suddenly gasped. His eyes went wide. Holy, she's telling the truth. Emma Peterson, founder of Chainflow. The acquisition made news. It's all here. Forbes did an article calling her one of the most successful female tech entrepreneurs under 30. Carol snatched his phone, reading frantically. There are pictures. Emma at conferences. Emma meeting with oh my god, is that the governor? Mom was openly crying now, mascara streaking her face. Emma, sweetheart, why would you keep this from us? We're your family. We love you. Do you? The question, sharper than intended, sliced through the air. Did you love me when you forgot my birthday 3 years in a row? Did you love me when you spent $200,000 on Madison's education and gave me nothing? Did you love me when I came home for Christmas and you didn't even have a stocking for me because you forgot I was coming? That's not fair, Dad said weakly. Isn't it? Name one thing about my life, one thing that doesn't involve my job. Name my best friend. Name my favorite food. Name anything that shows you've paid attention to me in the last decade. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Madison's face was crimson, tears streaming down her cheeks. You're doing this to hurt me on purpose. You waited until my moment. Until everyone was celebrating my engagement and my life, and you decided to steal it. Your moment. I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter, hollow sound. Madison, every single moment has been your moment. Every holiday, every dinner, every family gathering for 28 years has revolved around you. I didn't plan this. I didn't even know if I was going to say anything. But I am so tired of being invisible. You're jealous. Madison shrieked. You've always been jealous of me. I'm not jealous of you, Madison, I corrected, my voice gaining a new, cold clarity. I feel sorry for you. That stopped her cold. What? Everything you have was given to you. Your education, your opportunities, even your job. Dad called in favors to get you that interview, remember? You've never had to fight for anything, never had to prove yourself, never had to wonder if you could make it on your own. And now you're marrying a man who makes good money and planning a life that's comfortable and expected. I paused, letting the truth sink in. There's nothing wrong with that life, Madison. But it's not special. It's not extraordinary. It's exactly what everyone expected you to have because it's all you've ever known, accepting things being handed to you. Madison lunged across the table at me, her eyes blazing with fury. Preston caught her, pulling her back as she screamed obscenities. Carol fanned herself theatrically, as if on the verge of fainting. Mom sobbed into her napkin. Trevor and Sophie sat frozen, eyes wide, witnessing the detonation of their family's carefully constructed facade. Dad finally found his voice, a whisper of his usual authority. Emma, I think you should leave. Yeah, I said, standing up, suddenly utterly exhausted. I think so, too. I grabbed my coat and bag. As I reached the door, I turned back. They were all staring at me, Madison with raw rage, Mom and Dad with a mixture of shock and something that might have been shame, Carol with naked envy. For what it's worth, I said quietly, my voice surprisingly steady, I didn't come here to ruin anything. I came here because I finally realized I don't need you to see me anymore. I see myself. I know what I'm worth. And it has nothing to do with money and everything to do with the fact that I built the life I'm proud of, all on my own. I walked out. Behind me, I heard Madison wailing, Carol's voice rising in excited gossip, Mom begging Dad to do something. I got into my Lexus and drove away. My phone began to explode with notifications before I even hit the highway. Madison calling and texting, screaming accusations through voicemail. Mom crying, pleading for me to come back to talk. Dad sending stern messages about family loyalty. Even Aunt Carol tried to call, no doubt wanting to know if I'd invest in whatever new scheme she was concocting. I blocked them all. 3 days later, an email from Madison landed in my inbox. It was long, rambling, filled with accusations and hurt feelings, but buried within it was a single sentence that caught my attention. Mom said you bought that house with Dad's money that you must have stolen from the family business somehow. I laughed aloud in my new living room, gazing out at the serene Charles River. They still couldn't accept it. Couldn't fathom that the invisible daughter, the afterthought, the one who was just fine, had succeeded beyond their wildest imaginations. I didn't respond. A week after Thanksgiving, my lawyer called. "Your family's attorney reached out," she informed me, a hint of amusement in her tone. "They're claiming you owe them compensation for family investment in your education and upbringing. They want $5 million. Tell them no," I instructed, my voice firm. "And tell them if they contact me again, I'll countersue for emotional distress and childhood neglect. I've kept every receipt, every bank statement, every document that shows exactly how much they invested in Madison versus me. I'll make it public." I never heard from their lawyer again. Christmas came and went. I spent it in Aspen with friends I'd made in the tech world, people who knew me for what I built, not for being someone's forgotten daughter. We skied, drank expensive wine, and celebrated the successes we had all earned. My phone remained blissfully quiet. In January, a message from an unfamiliar number appeared. It was Trevor, my cousin. "Hey, Emma. I know things are weird with the family, but I wanted to say what you did was awesome. You inspired me. I'm going to work hard and build something of my own, too. Thank you for showing me that it's possible." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I replied, "Thanks, Trevor. If you ever want advice or just to talk, I'm here. Build something you're proud of." Perhaps some good had come from that disaster of a Thanksgiving after all. Madison married in June. I wasn't invited. I saw the pictures on social media. It looked beautiful, exactly the kind of wedding she'd always dreamed of. The dress probably cost more than my first car. I felt nothing looking at those photos. No anger, no sadness, no vindictive satisfaction. Just nothing. I was too busy building my next venture. 6 months ago, I launched a new company focused on AI-driven logistics solutions, bringing in some of my best people from Chainflow. We're already attracting significant interest from major players. This time, I'm not building in silence. I'm on panels, giving talks, mentoring young women in tech. Last month, I was invited to speak at a tech conference at Yale. I almost declined, but then I thought about Madison walking those halls, about how proud my parents had been. I said yes. My talk was about building success from nothing, about being underestimated, about transforming invisibility into an undeniable advantage. The auditorium was packed, students hanging on every word. Afterward, the Q&A session ran an hour over because of the sheer volume of questions. As I was leaving, a young woman, nervous, clutching a notebook, stopped me. "Miss Peterson," she began, "I just wanted to say thank you. I'm a first-generation college student. I'm here on scholarship, and my family doesn't understand what I'm doing. They think I should have stayed home, gotten married, lived a simple life. Your story, it made me feel less alone." I hugged her. "You're not alone," I said, looking into her hopeful eyes. "And you're going to do amazing things. Don't let anyone make you feel invisible." She left, tears of relief and inspiration in her eyes. And I realized something profound. This was better than any revenge. This was purpose. My family still attempts to reach out occasionally. Mom sends cards on my birthday now, funny how she suddenly remembers it. Dad emails articles about tech as if he's always been keenly interested. Madison sent a message last month saying she was pregnant and thought I should know. I don't respond, not out of cruelty, but because I've constructed a life that simply doesn't include them. I have friends who celebrate my victories and support me through challenges. I have colleagues who respect my expertise. I have a future I'm excited about, filled with possibilities I created entirely for myself. And I have peace. Sometimes people ask if I regret how everything transpired, if I wish I'd handled Thanksgiving differently. The truth is, I don't know. Maybe I could have been more tactful, less dramatic. Maybe I should have told them years ago, or perhaps never told them at all. But then I think about that 7-year-old girl, watching her sister receive a BMW, internalizing the message that she wasn't worth investing in. I think about every dismissive comment, every forgotten moment, every time I was just fine. And I think about the woman I became despite all of that, or perhaps because of it. No, I don't regret it. I earned my invisibility, and then I earned my visibility. I did it my way, on my terms. The money is nice, of course. The success is profoundly gratifying. But the best part? I finally see myself clearly. And that's worth more than $30 million, more than any validation my family could ever offer. I'm not invisible anymore. I'm just finally visible to the people who truly matter, including myself. And my dad? At that Thanksgiving dinner, after I dropped the news about my $310 million acquisition, after Madison's meltdown and Carol's horrified scream, after all the chaos erupted, he just sat there, silent, staring at his plate. He didn't defend me, nor did he defend them. He didn't apologize for all those years of neglect or try to justify the glaring inequality. He didn't congratulate me or express even an ounce of pride. He just sat there, fork in hand, a man who, in that moment, realized too late that he'd bet on the wrong daughter his entire life and, in doing so, lost everything that truly mattered. That silence said more than any words ever could.